You ever notice something strange? That the loudest people in the room are often the ones doing the least. The ones constantly talking about their goals, their grind, their hustle, yet somehow they're still exactly where they were last year. Meanwhile, the quiet ones, the ones who say nothing, who disappear, who move in silence like shadows in the dark, they're building, they're leveling up, they're changing their lives while everyone else is still posting about it. See, there's a war happening every day, not on a battlefield, but in your mind. It's a war between silence and noise, and the side you choose determines your future. Every time you explain yourself to people who don't care, you lose power. Every time you post your plans for likes, instead of making moves in real life, you trade progress for dopamine. Every time you respond to hate, criticism, or doubt, you feed the noise and starve your purpose. You weren't born to be understood by everyone. You weren't built for consensus. You were built to become, and becoming doesn't happen out loud. It happens when you vanish into your purpose and let your silence echo louder than their opinions. We live in a world that rewards the loud, but it's the disciplined, the focused, the consistent ones who win. Because silence is strategy. It's power. It's self-control in a culture addicted to performance. You don't owe anyone a play-by-play of your progress. You don't have to defend your dreams to people too scared to chase theirs. You don't have to justify your discipline to the undisciplined. You just have to show up every day, quietly, relentlessly. The gym doesn't need an announcement. The journal doesn't need an audience. Your work doesn't need applause. It just needs you, committed, focused, and too busy becoming to worry about being seen. Let them wonder where you went. Let them talk while you work. Let them scroll while you stack. Because the truth is, success is quiet, progress is patient, and power is built in silence. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are in training. You are choosing mastery over popularity, discipline over drama, growth over gossip. And when it's time, when the results show up, when the doors open, when the life you dreamed of becomes your reality, you won't have to say a word. Your results will speak louder than every opinion, every doubt, every whisper. And the ones who questioned your silence, they'll finally hear you in the echo of your victory. So here's your reminder. Stop explaining. Start building. Stop seeking. Start becoming. Stop scrolling. Start showing up. And for once, let your silence say it all. There's a reason you're here watching this heart-pounding just a little harder than usual. Maybe it's because you're tired, not the kind of tired sleep fixes, but soul tired. Tired of chasing validation from people who couldn't walk a day in your shoes. Tired of explaining yourself to family, friends, strangers on the internet. Tired of scrolling past success stories that make you feel like you've missed the train, like you're too late, like you're not enough. But you are not late. You're just loud in the wrong places. You've been screaming into the void, hoping someone would answer back with permission. But let me tell you, permission is a myth. The ones who win, they move in silence. They build in silence. They fail and try again in silence. They turn down the volume of the world to turn up the volume of their life. This isn't just another motivational video. This is a dismantling, a full-on teardown of everything you've been conditioned to believe about success, self-worth, and showing up. You've been taught that you need to market yourself at every turn, to always be on, to always be seen. But what if the power you're looking for, what if the peace, the focus, the breakthroughs, they're not in being louder, but in being quieter? This video is about reclaiming your energy from the chaos. It's about shifting the spotlight from them to you, not to perform, but to transform. Because the moment you turn inward, the outer world starts rearranging itself in your favor. So here's what we're going to do together in the next hour. First, we're going to destroy the myth that you need to explain yourself to be worthy. Chapter 1 is all about that. Cutting the noise, shutting the mouths, and realizing that silence isn't weakness, it's weaponry. Then we move into action, not performance about action, but real gritty, behind-the-scenes self-discipline. In Chapter 2, you'll understand why the best things you'll ever do in life will never be posted online. It's not sexy, but it's true. Chapter 3 will break down energy, how to protect it, like royalty protects a bloodline, how to stop giving it away like it's on clearance. We're not stopping there. Chapter 4 is where we go into the battlefield of the boring, yes, discipline. The real kind, the kind that doesn't wait for motivation, the kind that shows up on the days you don't feel like it. It's not glamorous, but it's holy, and it's how empires are built. In Chapter 5, we slay the dragon of self-doubt with the sword of action. This one's about confidence, not the fake kind that needs claps, but the real kind that comes from proof, the kind you earn. We'll rip open the false idea that you need to feel ready. You don't, you just need to move. Chapter 6, that's where we start cutting deeper. We address the people, the noise, the opinions. We get real about comparison, jealousy, and the fear of being misunderstood. You'll learn how to build walls without isolating yourself, how to be kind without being weak, how to say no and not feel like a villain. And finally, Chapter 7, the quiet revolution, the compound effect of showing up, of doing tiny things that no one claps for but that change your life in ways you couldn't even see coming. And when all that is said and done, we'll reach the emotional peak, the place where everything you've been carrying gets laid down, where you'll feel, maybe for the first time in years, that you're not broken, just buried. That what's been missing wasn't permission, it was silence. And in that silence, your soul will breathe. You'll remember who you were before you needed likes to feel seen, before you needed noise to feel alive. Then we'll close with a reminder, not a lecture. I won't ask you to change everything overnight, but I will dare you to change one thing today. To reclaim your energy, to protect your discipline, to let your life become so quiet and so focused that success has no choice but to find you. And when it does, I promise you, you won't need to say a word. Because by then your life will be so loud, your silence will shake the earth. There is a quiet that's more powerful than a scream, more defiant than a protest, more focused than any TED Talk ever could be. And that quiet, it's where winners live. You've been taught your whole life to speak up, to advocate, to explain. But what if I told you that explaining is exactly what's holding you back? We're out here wasting precious breath convincing people who've already made up their minds, trying to prove to them that we're worthy of chasing dreams they'd never dare to chase for themselves. Why? Why are you giving energy to people who aren't even invested in your story? Every second you spend justifying your path to someone who doesn't walk it with you is a second stolen from your climb. And the climb is hard enough without carrying their doubts up the mountain too. You've been showing your blueprint to folks who can't even build themselves. You've been auditioning for roles in lives that don't even match your values. So let me be blunt. You don't need their applause. You need silence. Silence is sacred. Silence is where the real builders live. It's where the chess players sit. You ever seen a master at work? They're not talking. They're not seeking approval. They're creating, calculating, adjusting, perfecting. And when it's done, when the results are undeniable, that's when the world starts asking questions. And you'll have the satisfaction of not needing to answer any of them. Because results don't explain. They don't need to. They just are. Here's the harsh truth. Loud people perform for attention. Quiet people perform for impact. That's the divide. And you've got to choose which side of it you want to live on. The moment you stop posting your every move, stop tweeting your every intention, stop debating your goals with people who couldn't even spell discipline if it slapped them in the face, that's the moment you win. Not because the world sees it, but because you feel it. The shift, the power returning, the clarity sharpening. When you finally say, I don't owe you my progress report, everything changes. Some people think silence is weak. Nah, silence is dangerous. It makes people nervous, because when you stop talking, they can't predict you. They can't mock what they don't understand. Silence removes their power to define you. That's why most folks are terrified of it. They crave noise. They need constant feedback. But you're built different. You're here to move like a storm, not a siren. And storms don't ask permission. They just show up. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel the urge to prove something to someone, pause. Ask yourself, what would happen if I just didn't? What if you just kept building? What if you just kept showing up? What if your proof wasn't in your words, but in your results? That's the mindset of people who win. Not loud, not flashy, just focused. Ruthlessly, religiously, quietly focused. Let the world keep chattering. Let them keep guessing. Let them wonder how you did it. Because while they're talking, you're walking. While they're doubting, you're doing. While they're reposting, you're rebuilding. And when the day comes that your work can no longer be ignored, you won't need a podium. You won't need a stage. You'll just stand there, quietly successful, while they scramble to rewrite the narrative they once tried to mock. You don't need a spotlight to shine. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need validation to evolve. You just need to start, quietly, consistently, boldly, in silence. And the results? They'll be so loud, the people who doubted you will have to cover their ears. Everybody wants to be clapped for, but nobody wants to bleed in the dark. And that, my friend, is the real problem. We live in a world that's addicted to attention. People post their workouts before they break a sweat. They talk about the empire they're building before they've even laid a brick. Everyone wants to be seen, but no one wants to do the quiet, thankless, invisible work that actually moves the needle. And you've got to decide, are you here for the applause or the outcome? Let's make this crystal clear. You will never build anything great if your fuel is feedback, because feedback fades, likes disappear, comments slow down, views plateau, but the mission, that's eternal. The mission isn't to be known, it's to be undeniable. And that doesn't happen with noise. It happens with action, real action. Not busy work, not public declarations. I mean daily, disciplined, often boring execution. That's where the winners live. They're not chasing hype, they're building habits. Here's the cold truth. Applause feels good, but it doesn't change your life. It doesn't grow your bank account. It doesn't sharpen your skill set. It doesn't make your dreams come true. It just makes you feel better for a second. And then you're right back where you started. You don't need cheers. You need checklists. You don't need praise. You need process. You don't need noise. You need movement. Because if you get too hooked on being seen, you'll forget to become. There's something powerful about moving in silence. Waking up before anyone's watching. Grinding while everyone else is posting. Building something so real, so raw, so earned, that when it finally shows up in the world, people don't even know how to react. They're stunned, because they didn't see it coming. That's the beauty of action over applause. The best success stories, they start quietly. They're written in journal entries, not headlines. They're birthed in morning routines, not Twitter threads. They're built in the gym, in the lab, in the studio, long before anyone ever says your name out loud. You've been taught to chase visibility. You've been programmed to think that attention equals value. But let me tell you, there are thousands of people who are loud, visible, and going nowhere. They look like they're doing something, but look deeper. The numbers don't lie. The growth isn't there. The revenue's not there. The consistency is non-existent. It's all show, and show fades. But the ones who focus on action, on results, they might move slower at first, but when they hit like thunder. This is why you've got to shift your focus. You've got to fall in love with doing, not showing. Stop needing everyone to know what you're up to. Stop announcing every move. Start stacking wins in silence. You don't owe anyone your roadmap. What you owe yourself is discipline. You owe yourself follow-through. Because at the end of the day, all the applause in the world means nothing if you're still stuck in the same place you were 6 months ago. And here's a harsh wake-up call. The more you talk about it, the less you tend to do it. Why? Because your brain gives you a dopamine hit just from saying it. Telling people your plans actually tricks your mind into thinking you've accomplished something. That's why so many people get addicted to talking big, but never finish anything. They've already cashed in the reward before earning the result. Don't fall for that trap. Keep your mouth shut and your head down. Let your actions cash the checks your words never wrote. Start measuring your life in effort, not engagement. Measure your consistency, not your comments. Measure your growth, not your reach. Because when you start prioritizing action over applause, everything changes. You don't need permission anymore. You don't care who's watching. You're not waiting for recognition. You're too busy building a life so real that when the world finally notices, you're already 10 moves ahead. So stop clinging to the spotlight. Stop waiting for someone to notice you. Become so damn good they can't ignore you. And when they finally turn the heads to see what you've done, smile, not because they clapped, but because you never needed them to. Everyone wants freedom. The time freedom. The money freedom. The wake up when you want, move how you want, live on your own terms. Kind of freedom, but very few want to pay the price it costs. Because, let's be real, freedom isn't free. It's bought with discipline, and not the glamorous kind you post on social media. I'm talking about the boring, invisible, repetitive kind of discipline. The kind that asks you to show up when your feelings don't. The kind that says, no, not today, to everything that makes you soft. The kind that shows up in the dark with no spotlight, no applause, and no guarantees, and does the work anyway. That's where freedom is forged, not in the moments of motivation, but in the trenches of consistency. You want results? Cool. Want goals? Great. But here's the cost: daily sacrifice, uncomfortable choices, saying no to things that feel good now, so you can say yes to things that matter later. You can't scroll your way to a breakthrough. You can't shortcut your way to greatness. You can't wish for what you aren't willing to work for. And if that offends you, good. Because comfort is the enemy of freedom. It whispers, you deserve a break, when what you really need is a breakthrough. It tells you you've done enough, when you've only just begun. Discipline is freedom's gatekeeper. It's not sexy, but it's sacred. It doesn't show up in flashes. It shows up in systems. It's waking up earlier than you want. It's eating what fuels you, not what soothes you. It's reading when Netflix calls. It's running when your legs scream. No, it's making a plan and actually sticking to it when your emotions start throwing tantrums. Because here's the thing. Discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about what you decided. And feelings are liars. They'll say skip today, and just this once, and you can do it tomorrow. But discipline says do it anyway. Because discipline doesn't care about mood. Discipline cares about mission. It doesn't chase hype. It builds habits. And habits are what save you when life punches you in the mouth. You want to know why the gym is empty in March? Why people fall off their New Year goals after 3 weeks? Because they chased motivation instead of building muscle. They relied on inspiration instead of creating identity. But when discipline becomes who you are, not just what you try, the game changes. It's no longer a chore. It becomes your code. This is why people think discipline is restriction. But they've got it backwards. Undisciplined people are the ones who are stuck, trapped in bad habits, trapped in debt, trapped in cycles they hate. They look free on the outside, but inside they're prisoners to their impulses. Meanwhile, disciplined people, they look structured, but underneath the surface, they're limitless. Because they control their days, they control their energy, they move with purpose, not panic. They own their habits instead of being owned by them. Every time you practice discipline, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. And those votes compound. At first, you'll feel resistance. Your mind will fight it. Your body will crave the easy way out. But if you stay with it long enough, you'll hit that shift. The reps start to feel normal. The resistance weakens. You start craving the hard thing because you know what's on the other side. You stop needing people to push you because you've learned how to push yourself. And that's where the magic begins. Not when it's easy, but when it's automatic. When you've trained yourself to choose the hard thing so often that it becomes your default setting. That's real freedom. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom from regret. Freedom from waking up every day knowing you could have done more, been more, become more, but didn't. Discipline robs you of that regret. It gives you your time back, your power back, your pride back. Let me say it plain. Your dream isn't waiting for the perfect time. It's waiting for you to be consistent, to stop starting over, to stop quitting halfway, to stop rewriting the plan, and start rewriting your identity. Because once you become a disciplined person, everything else gets easier. The diet, easy. The focus, natural. The boundaries, non-negotiable. The results, inevitable. So no, discipline isn't punishment. It's the great unlock. It's the key to becoming the version of you that doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't fake it. The version of you that walks into any room, any season, any storm, and doesn't just survive it, but leads through it. That version is waiting, but it won't come by wishing. It comes by working, in silence, in repetition, in sacrifice. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're not just building a better day, you're building a different destiny. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not passed down like a family heirloom, and it doesn't magically appear one morning like a perfectly brewed cup of coffee. No, real confidence, the kind that lasts, the kind that doesn't shake when people criticize or collapse when things go sideways, is self-made. It's forged in silence, built in private, formed through repetition, rejection, failure, and still showing up anyway. It's the reward for choosing action when fear was louder. It's the proof you build over time that says, I've been here before, I can handle this. The world will tell you confidence comes from compliments, from being liked, from being seen, but that kind of confidence, it's fragile. It shatters the moment someone doesn't clap, the moment the room is quiet, the moment the likes dry up. That's not confidence. That's dependency wearing makeup. And you don't need that kind of surface-level validation. You need depth. You need something rooted, confidence that doesn't beg for approval but walks in knowing its worth. And let's be real. Most people are waiting to feel ready, waiting to be perfect, waiting until they've read enough, healed enough, prayed enough, posted enough. But here's the hard truth. Confidence doesn't come before you move. It comes because you moved, because you faced the fear, because you pushed through, because you tried and didn't die. Confidence is evidence, and evidence only shows up after the action. So if you've been waiting, understand this. You don't need to feel brave to take the step. You need to take the step to feel brave. Look at the most confident people you know. Are they perfect? No. Are they fearless? Definitely not. What they are is consistent. They've done enough hard things, enough scary things, enough uncomfortable things that they trust themselves now. They've built a pattern. Fear shows up, and they still move. That's where confidence lives, in the still. In the moment you show up messy. In the moment you try, not knowing how it'll end. In the moment you risk looking dumb just to learn something new. Confidence is choosing growth over pride. Every single time. You don't build confidence by staying comfortable. You don't strengthen it by waiting for applause. You build it by doing things that stretch you, break you, scare you, and then realizing you survived. You handled it, and then the next time, it's a little easier. You stand a little taller. You stop needing people to tell you you're enough, because you already proved it to yourself. Confidence becomes your quiet armor, not because you feel invincible, but because you've got the scars to prove you are. And yeah, people will doubt you. They'll question your path, your vision, your timing, and if you're not careful, their voices will become your inner critic. But confidence knows how to filter. Confidence doesn't internalize every opinion. It listens, maybe, but it obeys only truth. And the truth is, no one knows your calling like you do. No one sees the battles you fight behind the scenes. No one else has to walk in your shoes. So why on earth would you hand them the microphone inside your head? The real ones. The ones who go far. They stop seeking permission. They stop asking for someone else's green light. They realize the only approval they need is the one they give themselves, every morning, when they choose to keep going. Even when it's slow, even when it's quiet, especially when it's lonely. That's where confidence matures, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows of the process. Let's flip the script. Instead of waiting for someone to tell you you're good enough, become undeniable. Instead of hoping to be chosen, choose yourself. Instead of performing for praise, start practicing for power, because confidence doesn't come from being the loudest. It comes from being the most grounded, the most prepared, the most aligned. And alignment starts with knowing your values, living your truth, and not bending every time someone raises an eyebrow. And don't get it twisted. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not loud. It doesn't need to dominate. Confidence walks in the room and doesn't need to say a word. It knows its value. It's already done the work. It doesn't chase attention. It commands respect quietly. So stop outsourcing your confidence. Stop looking for someone to crown you. Stop waiting for the perfect time to start. The perfect time is a myth. The right time is now. Take the step. Say yes. Post it. Launch it. Try it. Fail if you have to. Learn. Rebuild. Show up again. And the next time, you'll walk a little stronger. You'll need a little less reassurance, because you're starting to know who you are. You're starting to believe it, not because someone told you, but because you proved it to yourself, over and over again. That's confidence. Not crowd-funded, not comment-fed, not applause-addicted, but earned, quietly, powerfully, authentically, yours. You can't build clarity in chaos. You can't chase purpose with a pocket full of opinions. And you sure as hell can't hear your inner voice when you've got 10,000 other voices screaming for your attention. The truth is, most of us aren't stuck because of a lack of talent or time. We're stuck because we're drowning in noise. Digital noise, emotional noise, social noise, expectations, opinions, notifications, comparisons. It's like living next to a highway and wondering why you can't sleep. You don't need more motivation, you need less noise. Let's get something straight. Not every voice deserves your ears. Not every conversation deserves your reply. And not every presence in your life deserves a front row seat to your evolution. Some people are distractions dressed as friends. Some apps are addictions dressed as entertainment. Some habits are poison with pretty packaging. And the longer you keep saying, it's not that bad, the longer you stay not that great. You can't create a masterpiece if the canvas is covered in scribbles from people who don't even hold a brush. You want to change your life? Cut the noise. That means cutting more than toxic people. It means cutting toxic patterns. The habit of checking your phone every 30 seconds. The urge to respond to every message the moment it lands. The compulsion to compare your life to someone else's filtered highlight reel. The tendency to scroll past your own potential because distraction feels easier than discipline. These aren't just bad habits. They're thieves. Thieves of your time, your peace, your progress. Noise doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, just check it real quick. It's just one comment. It's only 5 minutes. But 5 minutes turns into 30. One comment turns into a spiral. One distraction turns into a derailed day. And before you know it, the task that mattered gets buried beneath a pile of nonsense that didn't. And here's what most people won't admit. They're not afraid of failure. They're afraid of silence. Because in the silence, you're left with you. No noise, no validation, just your thoughts, your goals, your truth. And that can be terrifying, unless you know who you are. That's why silence is so powerful. It's not empty, it's full of answers. It's where you meet your ambition again, where you reconnect with your why, where the real you, the focused you, the powerful you, finally gets a word in. But to hear that voice, you've got to turn down the others. That means creating intentional space. That means unfollowing people who don't inspire you, muting the world so you can amplify your vision, setting your phone on Do Not Disturb, and setting your life on Do Not Delay. And yes, cutting noise will cost you. You'll lose followers. You'll disappoint people. You'll miss out on gossip. You'll seem distant. And you know what? Good. Because you weren't built for constant access. You weren't built to be available to everyone all the time. You were built for impact. And impact requires isolation, focus, intention. If everyone has a piece of your mind, there's nothing left for your mission. So ask yourself, what's stealing your energy right now? What's hijacking your mental real estate? Who are you explaining yourself to that wouldn't clap for you even if you won? Why are you giving out emotional leases to people who don't even pay respect? Your future demands full ownership. And ownership means boundaries. Ruthless, unshakable boundaries. The kind that say, I'm not ignoring you, I'm protecting me. Cutting noise is also about internal editing. It's not just what you're hearing, it's what you're saying to yourself. That loop of doubt, that soundtrack of fear, that playlist of procrastination playing on repeat in your mind. It needs to be shut off. You need to update your mental software. Install new affirmations. Download discipline. Sync your thoughts to your future, not your failures. And look, this isn't about becoming a hermit. It's about becoming intentional. You can still be social without being consumed. You can still stay informed without being infected. You can still be connected without being controlled. But it starts with cutting the noise that doesn't serve your evolution. Because if it doesn't grow you, it slows you. If it doesn't feed you, it drains you. If it doesn't align with where you're going, it has no business being where you are. The people who go far, they're not superhuman. They're just selective. They curate their lives the way an artist curates a gallery. Every piece, every person, every input, every habit is chosen with care. Not for aesthetics, but for alignment. Because they know every ounce of energy matters. Every moment of clarity counts. And every distraction you entertain is a delay you invite. So here's the mission. Cut the noise. Not just the obvious stuff. Cut the subtle distractions, the mental clutter, the cheap dopamine, the external pressure, the inner critic. Get still, get quiet, get clear. Because your next level, it's waiting in the silence. And when you finally mute the chaos, you'll realize you were never lost. You were just too loud to hear yourself. Everybody wants change. Everyone wants the glow up, the breakthrough, the jaw-dropping before and after. But almost no one wants to admit the real formula. Because it's not exciting, it's not dramatic, it doesn't trend, it doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It comes from something so simple, so unglamorous, so ignored by most. It comes from quiet work, done consistently, without validation, without shortcuts, and without noise. Welcome to the truth they don't teach in highlight reels. Your dream life is built by what you do daily when nobody's watching. The compound effect isn't flashy, but it's undefeated. It's the invisible force behind every overnight success you've ever seen. You think that person just popped off one day? You think they got lucky? Nah, what you didn't see were the hundreds of reps, the 4:45 a.m. alarms, the days they showed up sick, tired, uninspired, but they still did it. You saw the results, but they lived the repetitions. And the only thing separating them from you is whether or not you're willing to fall in love with boring consistency, because that's the trap most people fall into. They only work when it feels exciting, when motivation is high, when the stars align and the playlist is perfect and the coffee hits just right. But champions, they don't need a mood, they need a mission, and their mission doesn't care if they're tired. Their habits don't ask how they feel, they just show up. That's the beauty of the compound effect. It rewards the ones who work in silence, slowly, quietly, but relentlessly. Here's the thing, you don't need a dramatic transformation. You need a small one, done over and over and over again. Wake up 30 minutes earlier, read 10 pages a day, save $5 a week, lift one more rep, make one more call, speak one more kind word. You won't see results at first. You might even feel like it's pointless, but keep going. Because beneath the surface, everything is changing. You're building roots, deep ones, strong ones. And when that shift finally cracks the surface, it'll look like an explosion. But it was actually a slow, patient burn. Every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. And every skipped task, every broken promise to yourself, that's a vote too. The question is, who are you voting for? The version of you that stays the same, or the one who's building something unshakable? Because your future isn't built in one grand gesture, it's built in the grind no one claps for. The choices that don't trend. The days you stayed home and worked while everyone else posted #rise and grind, but didn't actually do a damn thing. The work compounds, the habits compound, the focus compounds, and so does the distraction. So do the excuses. So do the skipped days, and the "I'll start tomorrow" lies. That's the brutal truth. Everything compounds, whether it's building you or breaking you. That's your call. But time doesn't care. It just moves. And what you do with it minute by minute decides who you'll be a year from now. And here's the wild part. The compound effect isn't just about results. It's about identity. The more you do the thing, the more you believe you're the kind of person who does it. The more you keep promises to yourself, the more you start to trust yourself. And that self-trust, that's where unshakable confidence comes from. That's what allows you to walk away from noise, from negativity, from anything that doesn't align, because you know who you are. And you didn't read it in a book, you proved it. With action, you want to change your life. Forget trying to change everything all at once. Choose one thing. Nail it, lock it in, make it your new normal, then stack the next one, and the next. Before you know it, you'll look around and realize your entire life looks different. But it didn't happen through magic. It happened through maintenance. Quiet, daily, negotiable maintenance. So no, the compound effect isn't sexy. It's not viral, but it's the most powerful force you'll ever use. Because when you finally understand it, you'll stop chasing the big moment and start mastering the little ones. And when you do that long enough, you'll wake up one day and realize you're living a life you used to only talk about, but you didn't talk it into existence. You worked it into reality, quietly, faithfully, without skipping steps, without demanding applause. And the best part, no one will see it coming, because while they were talking, you were building. While they were waiting for motivation, you were writing your new story, one small action at a time. And that story, it's just getting started. There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise fades, the masks fall, and they're left face to face with a hard, raw truth. You are the only one who can save you. Not your followers, not your friends, not your family, not another self-help video or feel-good quote, just you, standing in the middle of your own story, holding a choice in one hand and a mirror in the other. That's the moment when everything begins to change. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you finally stop running from the hard things that make you better. Maybe you've been tired, not sleepy tired, but soul tired, worn down from over-explaining yourself to people who never deserved the explanation, exhausted from smiling in rooms that made you shrink, drained from performing strength when you really needed space. And still, after all the pretending, the pleasing, the pushing through, you wonder why you feel so empty. But here's what no one told you. You weren't broken. You were buried. And what's buried isn't dead. It's waiting, dormant, ready for you, for the version of you that's brave enough to stop talking and start building, for the version of you that knows discipline is love in action, for the version of you that doesn't need a crowd to clap, because the work is its own applause. That version, they're not far away. They're right beneath the surface, and you can feel them stirring every time you choose silence over gossip, every time you choose effort over excuses, every time you pick up your purpose and walk toward it with shaking hands. That's them. That's you. Becoming. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to decide, I'm done letting my potential collect dust while I chase distractions that drain me. I'm done being pulled in 1,000 directions by people who never took the time to ask where I'm going. I'm done explaining, shrinking, waiting. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is your life. And if you don't start protecting your focus like your future depends on it, it won't be a future you're proud of. Listen to me. Your life does not have to stay the way it is. You can start again, right now, this minute. You don't need the right lighting, the perfect gear, the approval of strangers. You need a made-up mind. You need to whisper to yourself, I'm not stopping this time, and then follow through, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet, because that's when it counts the most. You are not too late. You are not behind. You are becoming, but you've got to go all in, not halfway, not when it's convenient, not when people are watching. You've got to go all in, when it's silent, when it's hard, when it hurts. You've got to dig, when no one's clapping. You've got to choose discipline over dopamine. And you've got to trust that the life you're fighting for in private will eventually echo so loudly in public that you won't need to say a thing. Your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. Your focus is not boring, it's divine. And your consistency, it's the love letter your future self will thank you for. You don't need louder dreams. You need a quieter environment, a stronger routine, a better boundary. Because the vision is already there. It's just being suffocated by noise. So this is your moment. Not the moment where you change everything overnight, but the moment you refuse to quit on yourself again. The moment you take your life off the shelf, dust off the doubt, and decide, I'm not waiting for someday. I'm building now. No more apologies. No more distractions. No more permission slips signed by people who don't get it. You've got work to do. You've got power to reclaim. You've got results to create that will speak louder than any word ever could. And when they ask how you did it, you'll smile and stay silent. So now the question isn't, did this video move you? The real question is, will you move? Because motivation is cheap, emotion is fleeting, but action is sacred. And right now you're standing at the edge of a decision. You can close this tab and slip back into the cycle, back into the scrolling, the doubting, the explaining, or you can make this the last time you ever needed to be reminded of your own power. You already know what to do. You felt it in your gut, in your bones. Somewhere in the middle of this video, something lit up in you. That wasn't me. That was you. Remembering that you're still in control, that your silence is not a void, it's a weapon, that your focus is not a weakness, it's your foundation. And that all the noise you've been living in, it was never meant for someone like you. You were built for more. Not more likes, not more followers, not more attention, more purpose, more presence. And the only way to get there is to do the work quietly, consistently, obsessively, until your life gets so loud with results that the world starts whispering your name and you don't even turn around because you're already focused on what's next. So if you're ready, don't just comment or I needed this. Prove it. Choose one thing, and do it differently today. Start the project. Set the boundary. Turn off the phone. Delete the app. Make the call. Wake up earlier. Show up stronger. Move. and then do it again tomorrow, and again the day after that. Stack your silence like bricks, until it builds the future you keep praying for. And when you need fuel, come back. This space is for you. This channel, it's not built on algorithms. It's built for people who are done with the noise. People who are ready to evolve without making announcements. Who don't need to be seen to be sovereign. If that's you, then hit that subscribe button. Not because it's what every YouTuber says, but because this is your space now. Your home base, where discipline meets destiny. Where silence is sacred. Where the real ones grow in the dark. And don't stop there. Share this with someone who's slipping. Someone who's starting to believe they're too far behind. Someone who's been busy explaining instead of building. Remind them they don't need to scream to be heard. They just need to move in silence. Together we can raise a generation that doesn't need validation to be valuable. That doesn't chase trends. They create them. That doesn't beg for permission. They become undeniable. You've got everything it takes. Not someday. Not if everything lines up. Now, because discipline doesn't ask for the right moment. It makes this the right moment. And when doubt shows up again, and it will come back here, rewatch, reset, recommit. This isn't just a video. This is a vault, a reminder, a mirror, a map. Every time you get lost in the noise, this is your North Star. You've spent enough of your life explaining. Now it's time to execute. So go, shut the door, kill the noise, do the work, and let the world wonder.